So welcome everyone, hello, welcome back. Welcome to this panel on increasing gender diversity of children in computing. I'm Maria Rusu. Monica Landoni is my co-moderator. And we have brought here together, in line with this theme of connectedness, researchers from the child computing interaction field, educators from the local communities, and members of the European Network on Gender Balance in Informatics to talk about how we would like to increase, especially young girls, their participation in computing in the field, in their studies and in their careers. So what we will do is we will first go around the stage and introduce ourselves, and then Zeynep will talk to us about the eugain network. So, Julia Chatin, would you like to start?
Hi, so my name is Julia Chatin. Today here I'm representing Girls Code 2, which is a Swiss non-profit initiative. And we are organizing workshops for girls from age 8 to 16 so they can discover different aspects of computer science. And we focus on three main aspects. The first one is transfer. So we want to teach them skills that professionals actually use and they can actually reuse if they want to go down that road. We also focus on creativity. So in all the workshops, they get to bring their personal affection to the project and create their own objects. And we also focus on diversity. So we want to show them the diversity of jobs that are related to computer science and also the diversity of people working in that field.
Okay, Filomena. Hello, everyone. I'm Filomena Soares. I would like to start saying... It's on.
It's on.
Hello?
Yeah, take the mic.
It's easier like that.
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning. I was saying thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here sharing our experience. Well, who am I? I'm Filomena Soares. I teach here at the University of Minho at the Industrial Electronics department. I came from engineering school. And for 12 years now, promoting engineering towards young children, or not so young. It's something I have been fond of, and I have been dedicating my attention. I was one of the co-founders of the affinity group from IEEE here in Portugal, the Women in Engineering, and more recently, under the Portuguese Society for Engineer Education, we have a working group dedicated to this topic, research, diversity, and gender in engineer education. And this is we have a very active group that try to define some actions, how to attract the girls to the engineering field, not only informatics, but engineering in general. So briefly, this is who am I.
That's fantastic.
Okay, good morning still. I'm Cristina Silva. I've just joined the ladies and they invited me to sit here with them, yeah? So I'm just...
A guest.
Thank you very much.
Guest star. I'll use this as well. So we met already. I'm Monica Landoni. I'm here wearing different hats. I'm part of the eugain construction. I'm co-leading with Zeynep working group 1 about from school to university. I've been also working on gender stereotypes and how to mitigate them. So you will hear more during the conversation. You will meet me more often. So, Adia?
Thank you. So hello again. I'm Maria Rusu, as I said before, from the University of Athens in Greece. I am also part of the European Network on Gender Balance in Informatics. I am the Science Communication Manager of the network. I also participate, I am the Vice Chair of the ACM Women chapter in Greece. So I'm very active in these issues, and of course you will hear more during the discussion and the questions and answers from the panelists and from you, the questions. Thanks.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Zeynep Şahin Timar. I'm from Karadeniz Technical University, Turkey. But today I'm representing eugain here. I'm co-leading with Monica, the working group 1, from school to university. and you will hear about eugain more in my speech. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Elisa Rubegni. I'm based in Lancaster University. I work with gender stereotypes and children, how to face and challenge gender stereotypes and help children to be more aware about that. And I will be here with also by talking how IDC steering committee is trying to be more inclusive and try to be more open and try to have an approach which is bringing more equal perspective and diversified as well. And also part of the cost action, working group 3 from PhD to professorship, how we could help women that are already into the academic career, how to improve and how to go from one step to the other in order to improve their career path through the professorship. I'm not professor yet, so I'm still learning, but the working group is really about across Europe, what are the rules and how we could support women in academia, which is kind of tough for all of us. And so this is what is a working group about. So thanks for the invitation today.
It's a pleasure. So I think we start with Zeynep giving us a nice introduction and using the wonderful system. So everything will work fantastically well.
So I had a slide. Yes. Yes, hi again. As I mentioned, I'm Zeynep Şahintimar. I'm in eugain cost action and co-leading with Monica, the working group 1 from school to university.
You have to point.
Okay.
Yes.
To point there.
Can someone take pictures?
Please.
I can.
Everyone.
I don't know why it's not.
No, point and click.
Doing it and no.
Yes.
Yes. Today, first, I'm going to talk about eugain, about its structure, objectives, activities, grants, and results. Then I'm going to talk about the meetups we are organized in Working Group 1 and their results about what's the problems in girls choosing informatics as a career and what are the effective strategies to encourage them. So eugain is a cost action and general aim is to help to close the gender gap in informatics. In detail, European Network for Gender Balance in Informatics cost action aims to improve gender balance in informatics by creating and strengthening a truly multicultural European network of academics working at the forefront of the efforts in their countries, institutions, and research communities. eugain, there are 73 members in eugain from 38 different countries. So we are a big action, actually. So to reach our aims, eugain established 5 working groups. Working Group 1 from school to university, Working Group 2 from bachelor, master studies to PhD, Working Group 3 from PhD to professor, Working Group 4 cooperation with industry and society, and Working Group 5 strategy and dissemination working groups we have. The objectives of the Working Group 1 aims to update and design a new set of measures on how to promote education and participation of more female students in informatics higher education. And objective of Working Group 2 aims to update and design a new set of measures on how to promote education and participation of more female students in PhD programs in informatics. Working Group 3 aims to identify successful practices to recruit more female professors in informatics, and Working Group 4 aims to assure that cooperation with stakeholders in industry and other sectors exists at a local, regional, national, and EU level, and that particular issues existing in each country are taken into consideration. And Working Group 5 aims to raise awareness about the gender imbalance and bias in informatics and, of course, disseminate of eugain deliverables. What we are doing, actually we have a couple of activities and grants. As an activities, we have management committee meetings and working group meetings for working on our deliverables and our action issues. And we have training schools. Actually, lovely Monica organized one last month in Lugano. And we have annual workshop. Our grant holder is Informatics Europe, and they have this ECSS workshop, annual workshop every year, and we have a session there. And grants is very important. I saw a lot of young researchers here, so we have STSM's research. They are exchange visits sorry, between researchers in a cost action. And you can, researchers allows to go another scientist or institution or laboratory to visit. We are supporting them. We have ICT conference grants. Actually, they're for young researchers. Cost says young researchers means younger than 40. I disagree that definitely on this. But they're supporting younger than 40 researchers from ITC countries. There's a list on cost actions about these countries to go to high-level conferences for their support them. Disseminations grants are for dissemination the results of eugain and eugain's deliverables. This is what am I doing now? I came here by that dissemination grant. And we have also virtual networking tools. The virtual networking tools aim to build capacity and spread the update of virtual collaboration across different research communities. We have different kind of results. First of all, of course, we have deliverables. For example, as a deliverables of eugain, working group 1, 2, 3, and 4 will create these booklets. We also, working group 3 already published one, and you can find it in eugain's website. And also we will, as a working group 1, we will publish 2 in this year. We will publish there, and there will be 2 more booklets from our working group called about best practices for recruiting and retaining female students, and the second one, advantages of studying and choosing informatics as a career. We also have research publications and project proposals. So this means eugain is not just a cost action to try to reach their deliverables. It's also an effective network, because without eugain, I've never probably met Maria or Monica or other members of our action. So if you like to have a question about eugain, we can talk about in the break. And for more information, please visit our website. Now I would like to continue with our meetups. So as a working group 1, we divided into 3 subgroups. One of them is existing initiative subgroups, which I'm leading with Bara. And we are organizing these meetups with initiatives who help girls in informatics. And we interview with them and gather data about how can we encourage girls to have a career in informatics, and what are the problems, what are the barriers on them. So, I'm going to talk about my insights from those interviews today. Actually, when we look to problems, the first one, yes, we have, actually for now, we interview with 9 different initiatives from 9 different countries. And yes, they are different from different countries, but problems are not that different at all. The first common problem is gender roles. Almost in each country, gender roles given by the society is a problem, because in most countries, even in EU and beyond, they said there is this perception that women should take care of home, their children, etc. So, and STEM-based careers can be a problem for this, to do these issues. So, according to the culture, this is a big problem. Informatics career is a big problem, could be a problem. Families, that's why families can't support their girls to do that kind of career. This is the first problem we got from the initiatives. And there's also a lack of support by teachers. I was surprised by this, but Teachers also can be, especially male teachers, not on purpose, by the way, can be made girls feel not confident about choosing informatics as a career. And yes, and there's also this gender-based occupations perception, like engineers for boys and others are teachers, being a teacher for girls, like this kind of problem. This is also another problem. The second problem is learning environments. Learning environments could make feel unsafe girls. I mean, girls feel unsafe in some kind of learning environments, like if it's an entering course to informatics, they let them boys to take the role because they feel they're better than them. So that's another problem we identified. The third problem is confidence problems. They don't believe in themselves about they can be a successful career in informatics. Of course, this based on their problems with their society or their unsupportive parents, but they feel like that. And the fourth one is lack of interest. They really don't. There's really a problem in interest. They don't feel interested in informatics. That's interesting because they are almost born in this technology, and they still feel they don't have interest in them. So we need to search for, well, how can we promote them to feel they can do it, they can be interested in it. And the fifth problem is curriculum. Curriculum, how we teach CS is also very important for girls. When we talk about effective strategies to overcome these barriers with the initiatives, for the first one, I mean the society and unsupportive parents, teachers, etc., we need to destroy the perception that informatics is a male thing. And we can do this by educating parents and let them and teach them how to support girls in this. Teachers or families can take them to events, to girls, to events like, or they can teach them, sorry, they can take them to events about informatics, or they can invite successful role models, but role models are very important on who will be they, because they need to be relatable and approachable. They don't want to be some famous role model. They want the role models like, they need to see them like themselves. So they can approach easily, they can feel that they can be like them. Yes, I also talked about that. And the third one, about the learning environments problem, we can use all girls classrooms, especially in the entering to informatics courses, or because they feel more safe there in that at that environments. And or the other option is we can split classes by experience, because as I mentioned, girls think boys knows better. So when instructor asks something, they just hinder and let the boys take the role. For the third one, about the confidence problem, we need to support and encourage instructors to do this role, to take this role for girls. Let them help them to encourage them. They like, you can do this, and or help them in not in the class by one-on-one, or instructors should meet the girls at their own level and encourage them to learn. For the interest part, I mean, to create an interest, early contact with computers and computing is very important, because there is this, one of our members in eugain told that he has two brothers, and there was one computer in their room, in their home, and they almost never touched the computer since till high school. So we need to get them engaged in technology earlier. And other than that, visual programming environments and game-based activities are also good to create this interest. As a last part, as a curriculum part, we can use project-based activities because girls can see what they can achieve. And also, we can use this interdisciplinary activities to make them see that ITC is a daily part of daily life. These are also almost, these are the how can we do it and how can we help girls in in encouraging girls. Yes. Yes, that's all from me.
Perfect. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make a clarification, thank you, Zeynep, that cost action, you kept on hearing that. It's the funding scheme that the European Union uses to create these networks of members. Members' work actually are volunteers, right? It's just the money is given to fund the travel for the short-term missions to work, for researchers to work in other institutions, but everybody else is a volunteer. The 76 members, we are volunteers in the funding scheme, yes.
We have non-European members.
And we have also non-European members. That's also something to point out. So,
and also we are looking for new blood and young people that are interested in this type of initiative. So come to talk to us.
Or eugain.eu, so you can see all of these activities, short-term missions. There are host institutions that have put out research proposals, so you can look at them and see if you are interested to go and work in one of these institutions for a short period from 2 weeks to 6 months, I think is the maximum.
Yes.
And the idea is to produce something very specific and tangible, very practical, I should say, not tangible necessarily, but that will promote this goal of encouraging women to participate in informatics.
So why we are here? Because we think our community has a lot that can contribute to this cause. We think that we have a lot of power because we go into schools, we work with teachers, we work with parents, we work with children. So we have a lot of responsibility, a lot of power, so we can really help the change. It's a change that needs to get started, needs to be planned, but if we all contribute, it's going to be very interesting for all of us. So we have some questions to pose to our panelists, but we really encourage you to intervene and take part in the conversation because we want this to last longer than this panel. So we are thinking about what kind of initiative works and how we could measure their success. And because we saw also this morning some very interesting work and how we were getting recommendation as a community to do things better. We want to understand from our experts what we are doing and then see how we can do it better. So let's start from the initiative side and what we are doing, how we are doing it. And I pass it to Julia. And then.
Yes, so for Girls Code 2, we have 3 different things that we do. So we organize workshops, either free or paid for workshops for girls. And sometimes we also offer those workshops for the schools. But when you offer a workshop in the school, there's always this issue. If you offer a workshop for girls only, the teachers will ask you, what are we going to do with all the male students? So that's always the tricky part. So most of the time we offer workshops that don't happen during the school hours. So that's extra time. But in the future, we want to think about how to solve this problem. Another thing that we do, I mentioned a bit before that we wanted to focus on diversity. So we have interviews with relatable role models that are young in their career, and we ask them questions such as, what do you actually do during your daily life? What is the thing that you like most about your job? What did you study to get there? Because I think most of those girls, they don't even know what it means, for example, to be a computer scientist, to be an electrical engineer. And we need to ask those questions and we need to show them what is possible. In terms of how we evaluate whether or not this works, we're still quite young, so we don't do it too much. But we can see the success in if we have some girls that join the workshop and next time they come with a friend and next time they come with another friend, because that's something that they had fun at and they enjoyed doing. So it's not like an extra homework. It's something that they really want to keep doing, and they bring their friends, and that's an activity that they can do together. And I think right now that's when the success we value the most, because that's exactly what we want to do. We want something that they can talk about together, that they can share together, and that they can grow a network of friends that are also interested in the similar topics, which is very important for when they're going to continue in that field later on.
Maybe we can ask the same question to Filomena.
Okay, thank you. May I confess one thing? I miss a man here in the panel. This is a thematic that does not belong only to women.
True.
It's a thematic that belongs to all of us, women or men. So sorry,
Exactly.
it's just a...
No, but I have to remark that our construction is 90% female, and we have a tiny slice representative from the male side, and the project officer keeps telling us that we should get our act together.
We're
and
not
be
gender
more
balanced.
But I think it does really represent what kind of interest we are getting. When we talk about balance, there is a side that is here and a side that is here, and this side tries to go up and tries to really struggle, and this side is looking down and saying, well, but this is the way it is, what's the problem? So this is a provocation, of course, for you, but this is a representative sample of who cares for gender balance in informatics.
Sorry, but...
No, it's a very good point, absolutely.
Well, as I told you, under the Portuguese Association, Portuguese Society for Engineering Education, this working group developed some workshops, and what we did, we have network promoting engineering in girls, trying to attract girls to engineering studies. This group defines several actions dedicated to each study cycle. We have particular actions to the preschool, to the youngest I would say 3 to 5 years. Other type of actions to the school, all type until high school. And then some activities focus on university students, and then one particular topic dedicated to families and society in general. Meaning, trying to promote engineering in high school, I think it's too late. We should start at the beginning to the 3, 4, 5 years. And for example, some activities this group has been defining was some puzzles or some painting books where girls are the main actors in the several kind of engineering professions. Mentor, as we told here, mentorship programs is very good activity. Role models and near role models, where not a role model, a general role model, no, but some role models that are near to them. Try to go to schools and develop some hands-on activity, engineering for all, some hands-on develop at schools or at university side. This mentorship program would be particularly interesting for universities, for university students. Try to have female engineering, try to follow the path, follow the work of a female student while develop and study at the university. and also family, I think parents, at least here in Portugal, but as we have already spoke in a later, some minutes ago, maybe it's a common problem. Parents have a very strong position when advising their girls to choose what to do. I would say that there's also that feeling that girls have, I'm not sure if social aspect of profession is the correct word, but what I mean is they are more keen to being a teacher or a nurse or something that they serve the others, while boys are concerned with engineering or some other topics and some other kind of profession. And this is something we must, I think we must try to demystify and try to bring engineering profession, informatics. Well, sorry, I'm speaking for all over engineering, but the topic is similar. Try to bring to them that engineering is for all. It does not have gender, so we can do it, and try to make the girls believe that they can do it. I think they generally are not confident about what they can do. Even if they should do it, they do it well, generally speaking, of course. And boys, maybe they are more confident in themselves than the girls are, generally speaking, again. So some topics for the discussion. Thank you.
Shall we pass to Elisa? Do you want to elaborate as well?
Thank you. So in my research with Monica, we did a lot of research on digital storytelling for almost 10 years. We collected stories from children in primary school in Italy and in Switzerland. And at the end, we discovered so many gender gaps and a lot of gender stereotypes inside those stories. So we decided we need to do something about that. And the approach that we have been taking in our research is actually to make them aware about their gender stereotypes and how we could initiate a process which is like an interpersonal discourse into children in order to discover what are their inner gender stereotypes. Because we heard a lot about teachers and family and parents, how much they're important to teach them, but actually something which is more important is to make children more active and make them aware about what are their beliefs and values. And these values and beliefs, they quite often emerge into their stories. I still remember with Suleiman, when we talk about stories in Pakistan, they were quite similar. And this is kind of shocking, you know, Italy, Switzerland, Pakistan. So it means that it's across the globe. So this type of stereotypes and this type of biases are inside. We talk about teachers' biases. And those biases are unconscious most of the time. So our approach was more like how we could make children more active and make them more critical and understand what are their feelings and value. So this is the approach that I personally take in my research, and understanding how technology somehow help to detect on one side and mitigate on the other side. But always when, you know, children are the main subject of this process. So I think that was an interesting pathway, and we are still on the way of discovering how to do it better. And actually, we just built our own group in Lancaster University, which is TikTok. It's pretty new, and you know, one of our purpose is really to address to these issues, address to inequalities, address to lowering barrier to education, and this concern a lot. The difference between, you know, gender is definitely an issue, and gender fluidity. So this is the type of things that actually matter at the minute in our context, let's say.
I guess the second part was, how do we measure whether all these initiatives and all these activities have actually a good result on the society, on girls having a more open-minded and feeling more comfortable about embracing computing science. So is there any idea about how to, Julia already mentioned how she was measuring. Filomena?
It's a pity because in our group we have, I think it's next week, we have a meeting trying to find out the feedback from the measures each of our institution. I forgot to say, in this network we have institutions from all over Portugal, Brazil, and also Mozambique. And the next meeting we have is try to measure the actions each of one have been developed. So for now, I don't have any smart or key issues, but it's not easier to measure. No, of course not. Well, maybe next meeting, or I can tell you later.
There's the male in the panel.
Yes, absolutely. But any idea of measures with all your initiatives?
For initiatives, it should be like Julia said. I mean, if there's this feedbacks from the participants, or if they bring their friends, this means, yes, this works. For the activities, I think we can look the country's situations. For example, I mentioned that before in our working group meetings. The gap between boys and girls in my country isn't that much like the other countries in Europe, because we have this informatics courses from the 4th class till the end of the high school. They start with these informatics ethics and some basics, and then in secondary school they started with coding. So, and also it's same with the PhD, bachelor to PhD and PhD to professorships, but this comes from the culture. This differs country to country because of the culture, because in our country, being in academia is a good thing for girls. It's easier than being on the field. So I heard that, I think it was in the last ECSS, someone says it's same in Morocco too, because parents encourage their girls to study informatics because they can do it from home. So this is based on the culture and how we teach informatics to our children, and so we can see it by the numbers, this part.
Yeah, can I add something on top of that, because you mentioned it? So as a member of Cost Action EUgain in Working Group 3, we try to collect all the best practices across the globe, because we are across Europe, on how we go from PhD to professor. So those criteria measurement is very interesting, because this really makes the difference. And sometimes they are made mainly based on a male career. So most of the time, especially UK, we look at those criteria, how you can go from lectureship to senior lecturer to reader to professor. These are the steps in UK. And quite often, those criteria doesn't really match with female career. And this is how the system kind of broken somehow. So in Working Group 3, we try to, we mentioned that one of the output is the booklet. We try to see how we could advise or create some kind of general suggestions for people that want to be in career and they want to succeed. And, or at least there are some people that can say, I just want to be a lecturer or assistant professor. And this is fine for me, right? We don't need to be all professors. But still, there is also this pressure into career advancement that's kind of interesting. So measurement and criteria is definitely an interesting issue in academia and informatics as well, especially in a male-dominated environment.
Thank you. But I think we want to hear from you as well. And so,
yeah. So maybe we should open it up. Yes. And you heard about activities, you heard about measurement, how to measure success. So what is your take? What are your thoughts? And I think Janet is and then
going to contribute.
Hi. Am I? Yeah. So I feel like you're taking a very binary view on gender. It feels a little bit awkward in the current conversations about gender fluidity and all these sorts of things. I've heard a lot of boys do this and girls do that, and so I'm kind of interested. I appreciate you're a European-funded consortium. I'm interested to understand, what your framing is. I feel like your agenda is promoting, female women. And I'm just curious because I when I saw the panel title, I wasn't expecting what I'd been given. That's all.
I think.
Lisa?
I mean, regarding the cost action, definitely is about female in informatics. So this is the topic of the cost action. It would be very nice to have like gender fluidity in informatics. I think this is really coming into the diversity. So we are all diverse, especially now in CHI, there is a lot of discussion about diversity, inclusion, gender fluidity. On one side, as a researcher, it's very hard to go in a school and talk about gender fluidity. I mean, I tried many times in UK and in Italy and Switzerland, and it's very hard to go with this argument in a school. So it's still kind of hard on this side of research. As on the side of community, we can definitely do more. And we really, I appreciate what is going on in Sakai at the conference in this kind of conversation about gender fluidity, how we can be more inclusive. And definitely also what I just mentioned about criteria for career pathway. These criteria, they need to go across gender. I want to be here like in 10 years and don't talk about gender anymore. You know what I mean? Forget about that because it's not an issue. So definitely this is about personal pathway and that need to be taken into account, definitely. So you are totally right, Janet. You would expect to talk more about gender diversity and fluidity in these regards. So this is something that you could do actually. I'm more than happy. So you give me, you open a door here. So as a member of IDC steering committee, where also we are starting a discussion how our community can be more open. So we talk about equality, diversity, and inclusion. And we talk about minority group, we talk about inequalities. So we start a discussion about how our community can be more open. And this open can come, first of all, from language. So what type of language do we use in our dissemination paper? How we comment or how we can address to people. In some paper, we still talk about sex instead of gender. Mm-hmm. How we can help also people that are not English mother tongue to have to address properly to this issue that is not just about gender, but is really across any type of diversity and inclusion and be more equal. How we can diversify our community. It was so nice yesterday to be around a lot of Uruguayos. So a lot of people from Uruguay are here, and this is quite unique because, having people from Central America and South America is just great. We have people, this is something that we need to do more. And so definitely we talked with Anna Pires yesterday night about how we could help as community to include more people like that to publishing with us. So shall we, in the fall, start shepherding people how to use the language properly? So we really want to open this discussion to the whole community. So something we have been doing at the level of IDC steering committee. So you will find 4 flip charts in the coffee break. And we have 4 student volunteers. We have Ibrahim. We have, if you can stand up, please, Ibrahim, Grazia, and Michael. And yes, and those people, they will be at the coffee break. And they will have some post-it in their hands. And you're more than welcome to go there and give your contribution about 4 different topics. Because we really need to open this conversation from the community, because this is how we need to grow, right? So, Janet, you have the first post-it. Yeah.
But
that was very
useful, yeah.
But you are right. We did say at the beginning, Janet, that the emphasis is on girls in this particular panel, more because we need to start from somewhere. And we need to scale it up as much as possible because, of course, all these activities at local levels and different initiatives are really great, but we need to figure out how to scale it. And the network is in this direction. I mean, the funding was given to create this large network, 38 countries, 76 individual members, and opening it up through the activities and the grants so that there can be a scale up because that's what's needed. So the numbers are for girls to start with and, of course, opening it up as much as possible.
Questions?
Yes, there was a question there.
Thank you so much for the great conversation. So actually, I first have a comment to what Julia was saying about when they go to school and they have the workshop for girls. Yeah. So what I've noticed is that you are saying, okay, there's not a lot of male professors or researchers joining this work. So why don't you have workshops for boys where you teach them to be more inclusive and understanding and supportive to our girls? Because that's something that we need. Even if we constantly tell girls, okay, we need to perform better, we need to like this and that. If we don't have this support from them, like looking at us in a different way or not accepting us, then again, this will happen in the future. So maybe in 10 years, your group will be like half male, half female. So not like if only women care about this problem. And I also have another comment to what Zainab was saying about, so girls were not interested in the style, like let's say informatic activities. Another thing, I mean, I've noticed and I've seen around a lot is that when they're growing up in very young age, the type of toys children get or boys get, and the type of the color. I mean, I'm not up for the color division and stuff. Make a huge difference. So if they are open to choose the type of toys they want, it will make them more interested in different topics. So I worked with the topic of perspective taking, like mental rotation, and then a lot of boys plays with cars, a lot of girls didn't, and that would make an impact in their abilities as well. So I really feel we need to start that early on. Like, I understand we can motivate children at the school level or high school or universities, but it's harder, it's more work. So it's really, we have to go back. I know families, it's hard to make families to be interested, but then we have the kindergarten and schools. So just my comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to say? I think you need to use this, right? You don't have a mic.
Yes, thank you very much for these comments. That's something I'm thinking about a lot. So I'm also a doctoral student, and in my institution we have a program where we can have a female mentor on top of our supervisor, well, next to our supervisor, and that's going to teach you like how to communicate your research, how to communicate with your male colleagues, and etc. I'm the only woman in my team, and none of my male colleagues get any support on how to include me more and how to communicate with me. And that's something I really want to do more. And I think we all have gender bias. Women also have gender bias against ourselves, which is a bit sad. And there's a conversation to have. And that's a conversation that should not be carried only by women. Also because it takes a lot of time, like we are doing research, we don't have so much free time and we could use the help. So that's really something I want to include more and work on. Again, we have to start somewhere and we're still new, but I think that's a very important point. That's not something we should do alone, and that's a conversation that we should do all together, especially in teams and fields where there are so few women, because then it's a lot of work. So yeah, I want to insist on that, and I totally agree with you.
Oh, there are many people.
We have 5 minutes.
Yes, but then we will continue the lunch.
Okay. Hi. Wonderful conversation so far, but what I'm interested in is your opinion on whether we actually should report or not on these genders in our research. Because a lot of the times I see research that really isn't about the gender of the participants, and then we still report on it, and we still draw conclusions. Oh, we see that female children girls are more doing this and boys are more doing that, and then we are actually invoking these stereotypes even more, maybe. So, what is your opinion on reporting about these genders when sometimes I don't think it's necessary?
Do you have?
Yes. You have yours.
I'm not sure it's working. It's working.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't know how to use it. However, so I think is on one side is interesting because you quite often I think people do in order to see if there is a balance, because necessarily there is some difference sometimes. So you want to see there is a balance in between of that. As we said, it would be nice at a certain point we don't mention it anymore, but still it makes sense. I think there is a difference, by the way. Monica, what do you think?
I think that from the point of view of our community, we ask questions that are relevant to our study. If the gender is not part of the research question, you shouldn't collect this kind of information, and it's completely useless. So I think that emphasizing differences is not healthy, but also ignoring differences is not healthy. So I'm a female entity, but more than anything, I'm a person with a certain personality, with a certain background, with likes and dislikes, and as such, I should be considered. So the fact that my name ends with an A, that in Italy by chance is mostly female, and that I qualify biologically as being part of half of the population, shouldn't really interfere with the way I act. But it is true that it is statistically more likely that I will behave in a certain way. And this is fine. It is absolutely fine. I think diversity is great, and we should embrace whoever we are. And we need to educate people to do that, because for some, that's really, really complicated and difficult. I don't know whether you want, because there are a few other hands, and we have a few minutes.
There's one back there, and then here.
Yes.
Thank you. It is rather a comment because in my research I also needed, of course, to decide gender issues and how far do I mention it, also because of the things you have to mention. But I wonder if it's so, I don't really need so much comment actually, but I wonder if underneath these gender issues it is actually much more about raising and assisting children to be self-aware and be able to express themselves. And if we focus on that, they will express themselves as the individual person they are, and they will express their value. They will sense that they are of value, and actually through that we strengthen diversity, but not without neglecting the value of the individual. Each individual brings. Everybody has another context they grew up in, have had other relations, other moments of experiences, and they all connect. and this brings this wonderful diversity we are meeting here. So in a way, gender, yes, it is important, but I think it is very important to strengthen individuality in community. So this dialecting of individual expression in collective expression. And that is the way I approach this issue, because I think there's a beauty in strengthening children to experience who they are and actually the potential and opportunities they have. And I think that's very important for girls, especially. When they are statistically so underrepresented in this area.
Yeah, I'd like to add something to that, because there's research in linguistics that show that if you say a stereotype, even if it's to say that's not true, so if you say girls cannot do this, well, many people might say girls cannot do this, but that's actually not true. This will have the exact same effect on them than saying girls cannot do this and stop there. So I think emphasizing on like who are you and what do you like to do, and it's okay to like the things that you like to do, would be a bit stronger than say everybody thinks that, but no, it's not true. You know, that's as violent as saying everybody like that's actually the case. So I think that would be an interesting approach to explore as well.
Absolutely. More questions? It's very active pre-lunch.
Actually, there's also the male side of these gender roles, because I know many males really under stress because of these roles. They don't want to be the one responsible for all the economic, responsibility, because we give their roles like, okay, you have to be the strong one, you have to take care of your family, so you should earn money, so you should be the one having economical stability. So I think it would be nice to learn from both perspectives, because they also don't like their roles sometimes, and like giving these educations in a more diverse groups would help the awareness, because it's the same for other diversity issues. Like, for instance, we have to teach neurotypical kids to be aware of the normal of neurodivergent, because it's not a normal, it's a normal of that person. For instance, we were talking about looking at the face. Yeah, I have a friend with autism. He doesn't look my face, but it's okay. We can be friends when they don't look at my face while we are talking. We can talk about other things and stuff. So it's their normal. So it's not a normal and we should fix it. It's their normal. So I think this awareness and how we feel about this is really important. And even in our community, when I say, okay, I moved from Switzerland to Sweden, did your husband come with you? So do we ask this question to our male friends, like, what about your wife? So when I see the role models, they choose the right husband. So the male, female ones, okay, they're already successful, because the success is like moving there, doing postdoc there, over there, and going to Stanford and coming back to Europe. So these are the metrics. So maybe we have to change the metrics to for being successful. So yeah, sorry. Yes. There are many issues on this.
Definitely.
Can I take this one?
Yeah, very quickly, because we need to go to the next.
Yeah, this is interesting, because the toxic masculinity definitely is an issue. And this is remind also what the other person said, I don't remember her name, but this kind of, and Julia said, you need to go across role models. You need to make them reflect. So the reflection has to start from themselves, and you need to bring all of them together. In our study, we have seen that if you have like a mixed group, so not just, let's do the binary one, okay? Female groups or male groups, the type of stereotypes increased instead of having so intersectionality definitely is something important also to make. Also to create criteria of success. Because your criteria of success might be different from someone else. Just doesn't matter the gender itself, it's just different.
Last question.
Juan Pablo, I think, has been trying. Let's give it to a guy, the last question, the last word.
All right.
For a balance.
Okay, I get to go last. So I just had a few thoughts that came up, and I agree with a lot of the things that were said. I think they match my experiences too. One thing that I'm working on in my department is we're looking at the pipeline of students through our program to see which courses are problematic, where we lose a lot of female students. And I think sometimes, because sometimes we hear anecdotal evidence from students that this professor turns off people, or but sometimes we're in the era of data science. With a little data, we can justify and say, hey, we really need to change this course, or we need to change, to put someone else to be the first experience that students have in computing, to change their mind about it. So that's one thing that we're doing. I think from personal experience, the other thing I say for anyone here, hopefully it's everyone who cares about this, a lot of it is about dedicating time to, especially for us who are more senior, just dedicating time to whether it's looking at data, but mentoring and spending time with individuals. I think the time you dedicate at the end of the day is what makes a difference. And then the last thing, sorry, I might have to end up with a little bit of a downer, but in some parts of the world, I think the political environment is not very positive for this kind of work. So I think we're having to, but we can get creative, right? So I think sometimes you have to do things that help, but are a little under the radar. Maybe, so I think depending on where you are, you might be able to say, well, we're trying to do this to have more women in computing, or you might just have to still do it, but call it something else.
Yes.
Right? So that's just a few thoughts.
Great. So I guess on that note of getting creative, let's go get creative at lunch. And this is a huge topic. Oh, work in progress. I'm sorry. Lunch is later. Okay. Work in progress is very creative.
Yes,
so
yeah.
Work in progress
is even more creative than lunch.
Yes. So this is a never-ending topic, but we hope we just planted a few seeds and
we'll
continue.
Yes. For 3 days, so we can chat about it all the time. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And work in progress.
Sorry,